Hey there guys, welcome back to ARTFX Studios Tutorial Tuesday Season 2 about glitch hop. And in today's video I'm going to talk about how to create an interesting rhythmic kind of build-up. In the past week I did make some changes to what I created in the previous videos. And I want to show you a little bit what I did. Now, the first thing I changed is mainly in the group that contains all the instruments that are coming from the D. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this and show you what I did. The first thing I changed was the actual bass line. Now, why did I change the bass line? Well, I found that the bass line, it was good and it was doing an interesting kind of thing, but it was way too simple. And I changed it up a little bit. I also added some of these swing notes, as you can see, and that creates a bass line that sounds much more funky. Listen. Especially those faster parts really make it sound a lot more funky. Now, I basically just looked at the scale I'm using and I used those notes of the scale to create this bass line. In the second part of the intro, the phaser clavinet kicked in, but I found out that the phaser clavinet melody that I initially created didn't work that well together with the new bass line. So, I used that same instrument, but instead of creating a new melody with it, I basically just made a harmony on the bass sound. Now, if I look at the bass track, you can see the first note is a C, and then we drop down to an A sharp. If I look at the phaser clavinet melody, I can see that the first note is a D sharp, and then we drop down to a D. I can show you what is actually happening. How do you find the right notes for the harmony? It's really simple. If you have that C, and you would create a chord out of that C, you get the C note, then you get the D sharp, and then you get a G. That creates a C minor chord. For that A sharp, however, if I would just take that entire chord and place it on the A sharp, we can now see we get an A sharp minor chord, but the C sharp, that one, is not in the D sharp major scale. So this chord will not sound right with the particular melody and track that I'm using. So to make this chord fit, I would have to move this middle note up one semitone, which turns this chord into a major chord. And now we're actually playing an A sharp major, and we're now using that D instead of a C sharp, and the D is in a D sharp major scale. So you just go through all of these notes and you create chords out of those. And the harmony then is just playing the middle notes of all those chords. So if you would just visualize the chords in your head and just take all these middle notes of the chords and use that for your harmony, then it's definitely gonna sound good. Now I could even create another harmony on top of it, taking all the top notes, and use an even different instrument to play that. And that way you can construct a chord out of multiple instruments, and it will sound much more interesting. Sometimes you need a chord playing with one instrument to get a particular feeling, but sometimes splitting those different notes over two or multiple different instruments can create much more interesting results. So that bass line and the harmony played by the phaser clavinet sounds like this. And together they really create an interesting kind of vibe. The phaser clavinet on itself is not really that interesting. The actual, the actual feeling of the whole track really comes from the combination of the phaser clavinet with the bass line. So I then layered my chords in there, which I initially created using the sort of like a brass kind of saxophone sound. That sound comes from the Uno D, and I created a chord pattern with it, but of course, since we changed up this part, it didn't work with the bass line and the phaser clavinet. So I found out that using just single notes instead of chords on this track sounded much better. And I came up with this. Sounds pretty funky. But again, on its own, it's not that special. I like this, by the way. Now, this, however, sounds very good with the bass line. And I'm also using a couple of swing notes in here, as you can see. It's frozen, so I don't know if you can see it that well, but this note, that one, that one, that one, that one, and here a couple of ones are swing notes. So they will only add to that funky kind of vibe. The funky guitar hasn't changed, it's still the same. Added some reverb to all these tracks, by the way. Found that some reverb really makes it sound better. I mean, this and don't add too much, just a tiny little bit to give it some ambience. This track sounds like this. I really like this. It sounds much better than what I had before. Yeah, that sounds really good. I also made a little change to the acoustic drums. I found the snare that I used a little bit too ringy. I don't know, it didn't sound the way I wanted it to sound. So I took a different snare. I took one, let's see, which is it? This one? Now, without the reverb, obviously this would sound a lot worse. This is without the reverb. Doesn't really sound that interesting. I added a little bit of EQing just to control the frequencies a little bit. I took out some mids and added a little bit of high mids, which adds a little bit of that crack in the snare, you know that? I mean, this is an acoustic snare drum, and acoustic drums, together with electronic sounds, they will have kind of like a problem to punch through your mix, especially when your electronic sounds are really loud. So, to make up for that, add some EQing, add a little bit of high mids on the snare. Where you boost, it all depends on the sound that you're using, so I cannot say like on 12,000 hertz add 2 dB. I cannot say that, because that is all dependent of what snare you're using. So yeah, I took that different snare, added a little bit of reverb as well, just to give it some space. And that snare really sounds much better with the overall drums. Maybe a little bit less reverb. Sounds good. Yeah, I didn't do anything else, I think. For now, I'll just play you the entire intro that I've got, and then we're gonna start working on the build-up section. So on this build-up, I'm gonna create a rhythmic kind of bass sound. And I think it would be interesting to start that bass sound with just this one. Let's see if we can make something cool with this. The bass line is going to be made out of C notes, I think. And I'm going to zoom in because I want some swing on this. So I think that sounds pretty cool. Let's zoom out a little bit. Let's duplicate this part. And I'm going to add a higher note right there. I'm gonna duplicate this whole thing again. Let's add a swing node. Like that. Okay, this sounds pretty interesting. Let's duplicate that funky guitar thing. And I'm going to add this right here. Yeah, that sounds interesting. I'm also gonna add the hi-hat to the second part. And let's add a snare. So I think that sounds pretty interesting. So I'm just trying to create an interesting build-up right now. This obviously needs a lot of filter movement, but, you know, it should work for what we have right now. I'm gonna unfreeze the phaser clavinet for now, because I want to add some more, well, interesting stuff with the phaser clavinet. Let's unfreeze this, like that. I'm gonna go and select the preset on my Unity. Like that. And let's add that same and let's see. Let's make that a D sharp. Let's make this one a G. That's okay. Okay, so that sounds pretty interesting. I'm not gonna harmonize the build-up. Okay, so that sounds about right. Let's see. How's the transition between the build-up, or between the intro and the build-up? Wait. I'm gonna make the first part of the build-up like that, yeah. Let's see. Okay, that sounds pretty interesting. Let's see. I want to make this transition a little bit different. I don't know really what I am going to do with that. The build-up itself, it's starting to become okay, but I would definitely add this one. Okay, that sounds pretty cool. What you get now? Okay, yeah. I am a lot more happy now with this than I was when I started this video. I'm gonna do something, however. Let's see. I'm gonna add a filter to the drums group. Let's see. Yeah, that sounds about right. A little bit less. And I can actually add the kick drum as well. Okay, that sounds good. Then the main drums. I'm also gonna add an auto filter to this one. I'm gonna add that same filter automation, sort of like the same pattern. And it's just a matter of playing around with the lengths of the sounds at the end of the build-up. Okay, that sounds pretty cool. Maybe take out that last hit. Let's see. I want some more to do. So now actually just creating some kind of a different thing. Maybe a little bit shorter. Okay, that sounds pretty interesting. Let's change these as well. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do the same for this one. Like that. And then I can actually change this one to be even different. I can do this. You know, that sort of like gives it a little bit of a different kind of sound. And by doing that, I'm just basically just creating more tension. You know, I'm building up the particular build-up as a whole. I mean, not just with the sounds and the rising kind of pitch rising synth, but I'm also using the rhythmic kind of way to build tension. I mean, we start with this, and that moves into this. So that sounds pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with the way this sounds right now. I don't know what I'm gonna add in the next video. I think I'm gonna start on the drop. I wanna start working on this drop section, and then I can always fine-tune the transition between the build-up and the drop. And if needed, I can add a vocal or anything that would suit this particular track. I think right now we ended up with something pretty good. There are a lot more things that I could say about this. I don't think that I've talked a lot in this video. That's kind of new for me. But yeah, I hope this video was still pretty informative. I hope you liked this video. If you have any questions regarding this video, please leave a comment below and I'll get back at you as soon as possible. If you want to know more about music production, go to www.ARTFX STUDIOS.com. That's my website. On there I have a forum on which you can talk about music production, post your music for feedback, and you can also buy a VIP membership with which you get access to presets, audio effect racks for Ableton Live, articles about music production. You get access to a feedback forum that is especially for VIP members, which can get in-depth feedback on their music to just get an inside look from somebody else than yourself. It helped me to become a better producer, and I think it can help you as well. Yeah, if you like these videos, please subscribe to my channel. I'm doing about 3 tutorial videos a week now, and the coming year is gonna be insane. So, I hope you liked the video, and I'll see you back tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Peace!